Number 5, find supportive structures for those who find success difficult. See, this is what we do in terms of children with learning difficulties. We have no qualms about this at all. A child with learning difficulties, we get more supportive, we give them more structure. We don't try and punish them through the curriculum. Read this book. I don't care if you can't read it, damn it, otherwise you're in trouble. We don't do that. And one of the things we do is we differentiate the curriculum. We break the curriculum down into smaller parts. That's a key aspect of providing more support and structure for children with learning difficulties. We take small steps. Well, the interesting thing here is that means if it's right in terms of the curriculum, if it's right in terms of behaviour, that means you have to differentiate in terms of behaviour as well. Now, this is a more difficult thing for us because we are much steeped in the notion of fairness. Fairness. If I treat that child like that, I've got to treat that child like that. I treat every child the same. Rubbish. We never have, never will. We do not treat every child the same in terms of learning. Why should we treat every child the same in terms of behaviour? We have to differentiate. We have to take the policy. We have to take the classroom situation. We have to differentiate. We have to allow for individual differences. This is not an equal opportunities issue. This is an equal outcomes issue. You get equal outcomes, you have unequal inputs. It's about trying to get everybody to the same place. So, think of it in terms of a...
Peter, some children might themselves feel that is unjust.
Oh, absolutely.
In schools where you have positive behaviour programs, where the focus seems to be on the children who are kicking against the system, the activities of the staff seem to be focused on those, but yet those who are cruising through quite nicely and not doing anything, they don't seem to get the same amount of positive behaviour and reinforcement.
There are often responses to that.
Those sorts of problems.
First of all, if we have a situation where the good ones don't feel that they're doing well and aren't given positive feedback on their performance, we're in trouble. The good ones need to be told on a regular basis, pleasure to have you in this school, kids like you, excellent, please keep up the good work. But they don't have the same need for the same level of reinforcement as the ones who have difficulty with behaviour. Just as the child who can't read, we're going, good, right, one word, excellent, now let's see if we can say out the next word, brilliant, fantastic, that's 2 words, now let's see if we can do the next one. Child who can read perfectly, you don't do that to. At the end of the page, or the end of the book, or whatever, you say, great, excellent, you read that really nicely, your reading really is superb. So there are needs for different levels of reinforcement, but everybody needs to be reinforced at the same level. One of the problems in terms, that comes up all the time. What about the kids? The kids will say, that's not fair. And of course they will, because kids are very black and white. But part of our job, surely, is to educate them to the view that fairness doesn't mean that everybody gets the same. Part of our job is to say, there are differences. And you see, they know it. Actually, it isn't like we're putting a completely new idea into their head, because in terms of the curriculum, they will accept that there are differences. They will accept that Johnny over there has trouble with the reading. They will accept that he gets extra support. And they don't want it, providing they feel good about their reading. And I think that they will accept it in terms of behaviour as well, if we put it over properly. The way we put it over is vital. If it comes across to them as sloppiness, unthinking, not caring, then they'll crucify us for it. If it comes across as flexibility, thoughtful, fair, overt, above board, and we're not going, oh no, I treat everybody the same, I don't know, I really do. I remember the day I said to my own kid, and it took me a long time to grasp this, very slow. It took me a long time, the day I said to my son, no, I don't treat you the same as your sister. You're not the same. I have different sorts of rules. It's a different ball game. But, let me qualify this, because this needs to be said. If you imagine a scale, I am not saying, you see, I'm not saying we go to the other extreme. I was quoted in the Times Ed as saying we must treat every child differently. I didn't say that at all. But it made me sound much more interesting than what I actually said. What I said was much more boring than that. I did not say that we must treat every child differently. What we have, imagine a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is that there is no consistency in this school at all, no consistency between any of you, no consistency in the way that children are treated, this bit of misbehaviour this time leads to this punishment, the next time it leads to something entirely different, the next time to something entirely different. That's your 1. 10 is where you are all like robots. You all behave exactly the same. That's like what I'm talking about in terms of consistency. I said I'd come back to it. So, you all behave exactly the same way. No room for personality, no room for individual differences. All the children are treated exactly the same, whether they be young, old, no matter what the degree of disability. If a rule is broken, this is the punishment. That's a very popular view in schools. They should know where they are. They should know that if they break this rule, then this is what happens. Now that's a 10. We don't need a 10 most of the time. In fact, I don't think we need a 10 at all. We need somewhere around about a 7. So if it's a 7, it's more towards the consensus and consistency end. But in the 3, we allow ourselves, and then flexibility. We allow ourselves differentiation. And it's not sloppiness, it's planned flexibility. Now, there may be times with some groups and some children that you need to move them more towards the 10. The more difficult the group, the more difficult the child, the more structured, certain, black and white, whatever you want to call it, the more consistent you need to get. But for most children, most of the time, I think round about a 7 is healthy for them and healthy for us. So I'm not, when I say allow flexibility, allow differentiation, I'm not saying go to a 1 and you've got chaos, in my view. Go to a 1 and that is not healthy. Okay, so I think that there's some important distinctions there. So, for me, regarding behaviour problems as a learning difficulty is actually quite a useful perspective. And I think it means certain things kind of swing into action that we might not normally feel comfortable with. In my view, a behaviour problem is a learning difficulty and needs to be treated exactly the same. You can come back at me later in the day if you go back into the groups and discuss this and are not happy with it. I mean, maybe you'll think of flaws in the argument or qualifications that need to be made to it. That's fine. Use the lightest possible touch in the least restrictive structures. What we're trying to do, I think, in education is to turn out independent, motivated, thinking, self-controlling human beings. Call me old-fashioned, but that's what I think what we're trying to do. So we do not do children any favours, whether it be in terms of the curriculum or in terms of behaviour, if we put more structure, more restrictions on them than they need. Just as in a learning sense, we're trying to say, just how much of my input, how much of my support, how much structure does this child need to move through the curriculum? Same question in terms of behaviour. We don't want too much, we don't want to, there may be children in the school who need more towards the 10. Because their behaviour is very challenging, very unmanageable. We don't want a 10 for everybody, just to pin down the one who needs the 10. So it's the lightest possible to the least restrictive structure.